Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
All my life I've awaited your coming and dreaded it.
I like them French fried potatoes.
Insanity runs in my family. Practically gallops.
I always have a wonderful time wherever I am, whomever I'm with.
This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
It's happening. It's Yeah But or Clean Up in Aisle 9 with Mrs. Boone. We're going to call her. I realize, I don't know Daniel Boone's wife's name. I don't know if they ever said in the show. That's how sexist we were back then. Mm-hmm. But as we're going to the show, I realized, you don't even have heat in that cabin of yours? You're like in a...
I'm on a screen porch.
Oh, okay. I saw you in a blanket. I'm like, holy Hannah.
It's a little chilly out here when you sit still.
I was like, you're going to the cabin to live with nothing. Oh my goodness. Okay, okay.
We don't have air conditioning, so it gets warm on warm days in the summer, but it's very toasty in the winter. So, yeah.
Fair enough. All right, we've got our
we have in-floor heating.
Okay, then you're no Mrs. Boone, or whatever her name is. I don't even know Daniel Boone's wife's name. I can sing the whole Daniel Boone song, but I can't say what her name is. All right, thank you for being on. I want to get your honest, which I think you are with me, opinion, and maybe I'm overreacting. You can tell me if this is true. The DNC, and maybe you didn't see it because you're up there in the hill country. The DNC had their summer meeting here. And again, DeMartin, thanks for bringing it back. I mean, he took off. He brings all these muckety-mucks here. Good for the state, good for the city. Yep. No harm, no foul. They start the thing off, and I know he's a friend of ours. He's a great friend of mine. I love John Hoffman. And like it or not, he is now the face of what I think will be a movement. I'm praying is going to be a movement. And because what happened, he's going to be it. This is the majority middle kind of thing we'll chat about, I'm sure. He goes up and gives a fantastic speech. I mean, to the point, I don't cry, but I might have teared up a little bit because he looked good. He looked like he was struggling a little bit, but he had said some things. Care 11, Democrats need to restore public trust in politics, recognize the harm of conspiracy theories, dehumanization rhetoric, and political radicalization. He said this, and it's like, yeah, baby, go get him. And I believe all Americans and Minnesotans want to talk to each other again without being demeaning and without the threat of violence. I don't know if he could have done any better. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know. From his heart, if he did it off the sleeve, I don't know. But I give him double thumbs up, and I know I'm biased. He's my friend. Yeah. Sorry, Amy. Senator Klobuchar gives hers. It was Amy. She never messes up. I have nothing really to say. But then it was like Governor Walz starts out, but couldn't help him. He started out, and I loved the line. It was about, we're not in a news cycle here. You all may be, but we haven't moved on. We are still living this. And I'm like, all right, we got a thing here. And I thought he started out huge. So I'm trying to be really fair here. Yeah. But by the time he was done, he couldn't help himself. Swore 5 or 6 times. I don't have virgin ears. It isn't my problem, but I don't recall him 8 years ago being that guy, and Trump's fault. We'll talk about it. But then he got down to the point, what do you got to be a Republican? You got to wear the stupid red hat. What do you got to think about? How am I going to be cruel to people today? And I'm like, God, didn't you hear John? Didn't you hear John 10 minutes ago? And we couldn't hold off for the whole thing. Now, to set it up for you, and I leave it to you, he was at a DNC convention. I get the crowd he's talking to, but TV monitors, TV are taking pictures. You've got the teleprompter. You know this isn't staying with the 150 people in the room. And I think he really missed it. And I'm sorry. John rocked it. I'm sorry the governor could have been so much better. That's my feelings, your thoughts on it, Emma. How wrong am I?
I mean, I think you absolutely is a valid opinion. And to be fair, because of other family stuff and then family visit and then other stuff, it was Woodbury Days this past weekend, I have really not been deeply immersed in I've seen some of the coverage of this stuff. I have not seen either speech, and I am going to go back and watch both of them. And I was really glad to see John was up and kicking him because that's what he does.
Quick time out. Quick time out. I texted John after, told him how much I thought he did a great job. Anytime he's ready to go, he goes, Al, it was amazing how tired I was after that. He's got a long ways to go. So we keep cutting him some slack. So
I am absolutely sure. And your point about what Wall said, that we are still in this. I saw a video. I think I've told you I really have had a hard time processing my grief over the assassination of Melissa Hortman, who was a really good friend to me. And there was a video that NPR News did from the crop art exhibit at the state fair, and there were 450 pieces of art sent in that were tributes to Melissa and Mark and their work, and Gilbert. And and honestly, I cried more from that video than anything over the past couple of months.
Stuff hits you. Sure.
It just hit, right? And the way that she affected so many different lives. And there was an image in the video, it was just B-roll. Julie Baha was there because she's always a crop art contributor. It's her thing. And she was showing some of it to Governor Walz, and he put his hand on the frame of one of the pieces of art that was done of Melissa. And it's so real. It's so, so I'm just going to say I cut him a lot of slack because I know, as close as I was to her and felt like I was to her, obviously, that's a different situation. This is a struggle, and it's not unlike the gerrymandering thing, right? I mean, I think a lot of us as Democrats want to have rules and laws, and we want everybody to play and follow those rules and laws. And in my experience, and I think this is very quantifiable, and I'd be happy to do some research and develop an essay to submit to class.
Yeah, because that's what we do here. Yeah, essay work. Yeah.
But it is the Republicans who, over decades, have been pushing the bounds on those rules time after time after time after time, and it has gotten to a point. And I've told you over and over again, the hateful stuff that has been said to me about my character, and calling me horrible names, and those are not coming from Democrats. And and I'm not saying that there aren't Democrats who say terrible things to Republicans too, but the level of the rhetoric that has come out of the Republican side that invokes violence in a way, and then the refusal of Republican leaders over and over again to not condemn violence when it happens, and we've had that conversation. So this is not a place where I think you can say that both sides are equally culpable. I understand. Just to finish the thought in 5 words, I understand Governor Walz in that moment, in that setting, in this particular summer, saying what he said to call out what is, in my opinion, a bigger problem on the Republican side.
Okay. Then here's my pushback to that. You tell me what we're even then. We sit here and we talk about we want to get along. We want to stop this weird crap talk, calling each other names. We're all for it. A horrid, terrible, bottom of the barrel kind of thing happened 8-10 weeks ago, whatever it's been.
Yep.
Either we say, this is the moment we stop. All of us, everybody throw it in. And then you don't get to say, well, one last time I get to do it because I'm hurt.
Right.
I'm not taking anything away from him. He lost true friends. I do not disagree. It is tough to be in power. He's the governor of the state of Minnesota, and the opportunity to do a better thing in memory of her, to help her, whatever, was there, and he didn't take it. He didn't say anything outlandish. Both sides swear now. I don't know why we had to get to that. And again, it's not my virgin ears. Hear me on the golf course.
Right.
But in this situation, we didn't used to do that. You didn't just throw dang this out in the rest. We didn't. He called a man-child with fat ankles. Are we in 6th grade is my point. And again, you have every right. Orange Man says bad stuff all the time. But it's like the gerrymander. Yeah, you guys gerrymander, so we'll gerrymander more. We hate that Trump says stupid stuff, so we'll say stupid stuff more. If your team won't step up at this moment, you can't expect mine, because you guys were tighter there. We have such a moment, and I'm getting a little teared up. We have such a moment right now, and you're big with Shannon Watson's Majority in the Middle.
Yeah.
We have Braver Angels that does this show. This is what bothered. He didn't say anything outlandishly more outlandish than any other time, but John Hoffman set him up with a T-ball. He could have knocked that bad boy out of the park. That's what bothered me about him. I'm sorry.
Well,
And
like I said, it was a choice, and people can have opinions about whether that was the right choice or not. I'm not in a mood right now to question him on a lot of that kind of stuff.
All right.
To be honest.
And that's fair, and you don't have to. That's why I get my time. We go back and forth. We'll be back after this. I really want to find out the judge that took out the trigger, binary triggery thing. How do you think this? Because now there's also a deal with school choice, not school choice. Churches getting PSEO, that also got kicked out. I think this thing is starting to fall apart. We'll talk about it with Senator Susan Kent right after this.
Dust from livestock buildings can be harmful to your animals and to you. Cough.
I know it's still on, but I wasn't too aggressive there, was I? I'm not trying. Okay.
Safe solution for your dust problems. It's called DustLock. DustLock can control the dust all summer long with just one application. Protect your animals and your health with DustLock. Learn more at dustlock.com.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
Easily offended? The Al Travis Show is not for you. The Al Travis Show. All sides are welcome.
We've got our Senator Susan Kent, clean up in 09 or yeah, but so a week ago we discussed that Upper Midwest Law Center, if I get all the names right, won for the Minnesota Gun Caucus group.
The binary trigger, yeah.
The binary trigger deal, which basically you pull the trigger back, and then when it goes forward, it's like two pulls in one. I mean, I'm a gun guy, and I don't, trust me, it's nothing I get my concern up. I don't. But they wanted it out, and instead of doing a whole Second Amendment thing, they went after Article 417 of the Minnesota thing, saying, hey, how is this in there with all this other junk? It's supposed to be one thing at a time. And they won to this Hennepin County judge. And the judge said, and you might, if you're in this, he's only going to rule on the one that came before him, the trigger ban thing. Right. But he said, if you're in this bill, you might want to look at it. And then this next one came out, which is, and I'm going to get it all wrong. There are two schools that were not going to be allowed to do PSEO. My kid did this thing. You go to high school, but you take college credit, and then you get credit, and then you don't have to do it at college. My kid missed almost a year of school, college, because of it. I mean, this is a wonderful program. But they didn't like it because the school said you had to follow our rules, and I think it was a Catholic school. I might be wrong, but anyway, that got pulled out. So now two of these little pinpricks have hit this balloon. Do you, Senator? Well, I mean, at some point, doesn't this blow up?
The analogy is exactly what I'm reacting to. It was a good analogy. Yeah.
So are we to that point? Is this going to blow up on them?
It's going to be interesting to see. And we did talk about this some last week. I am a believer that the single subject rule has been pushed and stretched too much over the years. I was frustrated. I don't know, 10-ish years ago when there was a Supreme Court case that had the chance to really strengthen and support the single subject rule on a case sort of like this. And it did not. And, and those of us who were like, oh, great, now this just gave more of a license to abuse it. And so I was a little surprised when this first ruling came down because it did feel like it was flying against the ruling of the Supreme Court. And I am not a lawyer, and I'm very clear on that one. I'm always fascinated by how this plays out, and I like listening to lawyers talk about it. And so, there was a part of me that was like, I'm not sure if this is going to stand, but to your point, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays. And, again, going back to the idea that we're a country of laws and rules, I think it would be a healthy thing if, some good stuff may go away because of it, if this is pursued. But, I think it would be a healthy thing if we rein this back into where it should be.
And I'm going to go both sides again. It's like this executive order thing. I don't know. I guess we have an executive orders my entire life, but now it's 2, 10, 12 executive orders a week. It's like I don't like it. They wrote the Minnesota Constitution in 1857, some crazy number like that, and they made it very simple. Each bill will have one topic, and that topic will be in its name. It was made for farmers and guys like Al that don't know much more than how to read, and I can understand what it meant. But we get lawyers involved, and all of a sudden, well, it depends what is and where the comma goes, and it's like no one wants to play. I say that. Right. I don't want to play that game, nor I don't get the feel you do.
Right.
So then you got to ask, who does it help? I think the regular Joe could read that and say, I know what that means. To skirt around it or try to do why, and then you got to think who benefits. Right. And I call it hiding. I think you have the ability to vote for something that you didn't really want because you're constituent, but I can say I had more good stuff. It's that thing has got to be the only reason.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think there are a lot of reasons, sometimes it's timing, right? Sometimes something comes up late in the session, very late, and it's legit and it actually has broad support to get it through. Yeah. And that's the way to get it over the finish line and not have to wait 2 years, or whatever. Yeah. And so, so there are more benign explanations sometimes, and other times it's like, the only way we're going to get this through is if we, and I have seen it where, provisions have been intentionally sneaked into an omnibus bill and people literally were not aware it was there because the language can be so brief and look so anodyne and you don't realize that this was just like a little tax provision that seemed like it was, but it actually applies to a very specific thing that we just well, and
if it made them have to talk about all the bills, which means not all of them are going to get there, I like that. I believe this one where the housing people could get $70 an hour to go talk to a homeless guy for 150 hours. And then even if he doesn't get housed, you still got paid. I believe if we had that conversation separately and alone, that bill would have looked a ton different. Why $70 an hour? Ain't anybody making that money out here?
Yeah, and again, this is complicated. I was part of a conversation in the past week on that one too. That it was reminded. A lot of this stuff came up as part of COVID response under the Trump administration. There were federal funds that were dealing with real issues during COVID, and things got enacted and then expanded. And sure, there's plenty of opportunity to look at it and say why, in the time that we had, wasn't there more, looking at the details, how's this actually working? Why do we suddenly need so much more money to do it?
But I'm just saying, going forward, we can stop that because we would sit there and have adults in the room saying, they don't even have to get housed, or we're still going to pay $10,000. How do we got to make sure that they're homeless? We had no safeguards in place, and we could if we take our time.
I mean, neither did we on PPP. I mean, there were so many things that we didn't have safeguards on because we just needed to get people.
But see, that's why we agree with each other. I completely agree. And we got to stop running government like the best thing we can do is just shoot money cannons at people, and that'll take care of the problem.
This was in the peak of the COVID panic. And everything was shutting down, and jobs were going away.
And we're 5 years from that now, and we can fix that stuff.
That was exactly my point. We should have done.
I gotta fly. I love having you on the show, and I hope you don't get eaten by bears, and you can make it again next week. I do.
Might be the chickadees. The chickadees are really the challenge these days.
Back after this with more.
Tired of one-sided media and divisive noise?